Hey everyone, it's Mike from Stonewall Woodcraft. I'm going to do something a bit different with this video. It's going to stray a bit from what you've seen from me so far with the showing the kind of the how-to process of the lounge chair that I built, the Glen lounge chair that was inspired of course by the plans from Four Eyes Furniture, and then the chef's cutting block that I made for Chef Chris. I'm going to continue to do those because that's kind of why I started the channel, was to show my process to the clients that are buying those pieces, potential clients, and also just anybody who wants to watch the woodworking process that thinks it's cool. But I've been thinking lately I want to get a little bit more out of this channel and even give a little bit more. So I'd like to start a vlog and see how it goes. Even if it's not successful really, it might just be good for me, therapeutic even, to talk about some of the challenges and victories that come with starting your own woodworking business from the ground up and what that first year and beyond looks like. There will be some behind the scenes of projects that I'm working on. There will be some talking about the tools and machines that I use and why I chose them and why I didn't choose others. There will even be probably a bit of talk, maybe even venting, about some of the stresses that come with running your own small business as an entrepreneur. Really, it's going to depend on what I want to talk about that day, and I really hope that it's interesting enough to some of you to kind of follow along and even participate in the conversation in the comment section or on social media. This idea for a vlog doesn't completely come out of nowhere, however. Recently was contacted by my aunt, who was the executor of my grandfather's will 20 years ago when he passed away. My grandfather, Mike Savage, was my main inspiration for becoming a woodworker. He was an amazing woodworker, amazing wood carver his whole life. He's a big inspiration still, every day. So my aunt contacted me and said, hey, I have your granddad's bandsaw. Would you like to have it in your shop? It needs a little bit of work, but I think you could get it going. And of course I jumped on that right away. I went down to Toronto, which is about a 3-hour drive from me, to pick it up from my aunt's house, bring it back here, and kind of assess the current state of the bandsaw. It's a beast, which you're gonna see just coming up in a sec, and it needs a lot of work, it looks like. Maybe I'm wrong, we'll find out together, hopefully. But I'm up for the challenge, and there's nothing I'd like more than to have a piece of my granddad in the shop with me every day, especially if it's a piece that I can use on my projects. So I'm excited for that, and what's coming up now in a sec here is the video of my trip to Toronto to pick the bandsaw up. You'll see a little bit anyway, and then kind of the unloading process into the shop, which my neighbor Rod was very helpful with. He brought his skid steer up and helped me lift the thing out of the trailer because it's heavy. It's a solid cast iron bandsaw. Anyway, without further ado, here's my stage 1 of the Grandad's bandsaw vlog. Hope you enjoy. Here's the bandsaw all loaded up in the trailer. I didn't really film the loading process because it was a pain, and I didn't think it was appropriate to really film my family in their storage shed and all that stuff. But here's the cast iron top that needs a little bit of loving. Here's my foot to give you an idea of reference, and some other parts. Here's the main assembly. As you can see, it has the big wheels on it and the big cast iron arm. And what else do we have here? Here's the base that assembly will stand on top of. Also very heavy. And then we have a few other parts back there behind the tote, some covers and things like that. And then back behind the spare tire is the main cover that'll go over the bandsaw wheels when it's all done. So that's where we stand right now. Hopefully going to get this thing unloaded and into my shop as quickly as possible so I can get to work on it, assessing what it needs. Alright, let's bring her in. Alright, so we have it in the door now. We have the base, the saw assembly itself, and then a bunch of other parts on the table here. I'm not sure exactly where they belong, or if they're even all part of the saw, especially these two guys back here. So there's going to be some research now. One thing I did notice is we thought this was a complete saw, but there is no motor of any kind. So I'm assuming I'll need to replace that and house it down in the base. You can see where the slot here that comes up from the base, where the belt would run from here down into that hole in the base, and that would attach to the motor. So we'll be replacing the motor for sure. There's going to be some sandblasting, a lot of sandblasting. A few markings here. They're gonna help me with my research on finding out what this looked like in its original glory. But A.R. Williams Machine Company, or Machinery Company, in Toronto, Montreal. I'm assuming this one came from Toronto because that's where my grandfather lived. And then manufactured by Durand Machine Works Limited, New Westminster, British Columbia. And then actually cast in, also Durand Machine Works, New Westminster, BC. So that's the manufacturer, and it looks like A.R. Williams is probably the retailer or something. So have all these guys inside now. Thankful for my neighbor Rod with his skid steer. All right, so that's all the pieces. I don't know much about them right now, but we're gonna get there. I'm gonna do my research. I'm gonna find out as much as I possibly can about Durand Machine Works out in New Westminster, BC, and the A.R. Williams Machine Company in Toronto and Montreal. And I'm looking forward to it because the idea of having my grandfather in the shop with me in a small way, since he can't be here, obviously, means a lot to me. I get to restore this bandsaw to its original glory, the way it would have been when my grandfather was using it, and hopefully you guys will come along with me and kind of learn a bit about, you know, the history of the bandsaw itself, why I'm doing this business, kind of where my passion grows from, with my grandfather being the amazing woodworker that he was. Yeah, so come along, it'll be fun. You'll learn some things, because I'll learn some things and you can learn them with me.